We have an AFC West subscriber battle going on this week here at Chat Sports, and we're kind of bringing up the rear here on the Chiefs Report. The Raiders Report, our Raiders YouTube channel, has 126 new subscribers. Broncos Breakdown has gotten over 100 new subs. We're at 88 new subs, which is a good number, but I want to win the competition this week. The Chiefs don't lose to the Raiders and the Broncos on the field, so let's not lose to them inside the walls here at Chat Sports. If you want daily Chiefs content, hit that subscribe button, and let's win this competition. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Could Kansas City trade for Commanders edge rusher Montez Sweat? CBS Sports listed the Chiefs as a, quote, logical landing spot for Sweat if he were to get traded. Here's Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports saying, in an ideal world, Sweat would build as a promising pass rushing scheme to earn a mega extension in Washington, but the Commanders are already paying top dollar to fellow defensive linemen Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, and Chase Young is also on board as well. So you kind of start thinking about this. Okay, Montez Sweat, maybe he's on the trade block, maybe he's not. Let's just say he is. You plug him in here on this defensive line, then maybe Charles Omenihu or George Karlaftis becomes that fifth defensive lineman, right, where they can kick inside, also play edge. Sweat's one of your starting edge rushers, and then the other one is either Karlaftis or Omenihu, while the other one rotates in. Dana would rotate in as well. Montez Sweat on this defensive line would be awesome. I mean, he's an upgrade over Frank Clark at this point in his career, and obviously Kansas City moved on from Frank Clark. So I would love to see Montez Sweat join this defensive line. Now, how much would it cost? Is Brett Veach willing to pull the trigger on a trade like that? It remains to be seen, but I do think Kansas City could benefit from adding one more edge rusher, and Montez Sweat would fit the bill of being that guy for this football team. He's got 1 year left on his rookie contract, so interesting possibility to think about here. I want you guys to weigh in before we talk about this possibility a little bit more. Should the Chiefs trade for Montez Sweat? Simple question. Type T for trade or P for pass. Let me know down in the comments section below. What do you guys think when it comes to Montez Sweat? Now you look at his career stats. He's got 29 sacks in 4 seasons. He's got 7 or more sacks 3 out of 4 years in his career. The only year he didn't was in 2021, but you see there, he only played in 10 games that year. Missed 7 games, had some injury issues in 2021, but when he's played 16 or 17 games, he's been a 7 to 9 sack guy. He's not an all-pro, but he's a very productive pass rusher. This year alone, he had 28 quarterback hits, so he really can put pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And when it comes to Washington, who Sweat currently plays for, they have some choices to make. They've already made some by paying Daron Payne. They had already paid Jonathan Allen. And now they probably are going to have to make a decision between Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Sweat is more proven, but Chase Young was a number 2 overall pick a few years ago. They might opt to keep him because he's under contract for longer and his potential is higher. And with Sweat set to be a free agent next year, if they don't feel like they can afford to franchise tag him or extend him, maybe they're open to trading him at some point this offseason. I think the Chiefs would have some interest if the price is right, and I think Washington would take calls if they were to receive them. So keep an eye on this. I wouldn't completely rule it out. Montez Sweat could be on the move. Now, before we get to our next story here, we got Chiefs draft hats available for you guys at chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. These are some of the best draft hats I can remember that the NFL has dropped in recent years, and you can purchase them today at chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. You can get the red style with the yellow text and logo, or the white style with the red bill and then the red text. All available in snapback, flat bill, and curve bill style. Whatever your favorite is when it comes to hats, we've got it all covered. Chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. Look in the comments, look at the description for that link. Click and shop today. Get yourself a draft hat before the NFL draft. All right, story number 2 here. Jeffery Simmons. How about trading for him, as the Tennessee Titans defensive tackle has wiped his Instagram of all Titans-related posts. He reportedly wants a new contract. Tennessee is kind of rebuilding. New GM Rand Carthen coming over from San Francisco. He's already cut several players. He's trying to kind of hit the reset button. Jeffery Simmons is only 25, so you could certainly rebuild with him, but Could Tennessee opt to not pay him big money and let him go elsewhere? I think it's at least a possibility. You look at his career numbers, especially these last 2 years, he's really settled into his own, right? 8.5 sacks in 2021, 7.5 this past year. I mean, he just plays with an intensity and with violence that you want for interior defensive linemen to play with. I mean, he is physical. He can stop the run. He can also rush the passer. I do have a question, a serious one. Could him and Chris Jones play together? Because I think ideally Simmons is also a 3-tech, but could you put him at 1-tech? Could they be interchangeable? We know Chris Jones plays some defensive end from time to time in this scheme with Steve Spagnuolo, so could these guys coexist? Does it work schematically? My answer to that would be, if you can't make Jeffery Simmons and Chris Jones work together, that's a you problem. Even though neither of them are traditional 1-techs, I think you'd be able to mix and match, run downs. You could put Jones at edge, and slide Simmons at 3-tech and bring in guys like Derek Nottie. So, yes, I think the answer to that question should be yes. We know Brett Veach is an aggressive-minded general manager. He's made big splashes in the past, both coming into Kansas City and exiting. He moved Tyreek Hill last year when no one saw that coming. So, we'll see. I think it's possible that you're going to have to pay him a monster contract if you do trade for him. So keep that in mind. Obviously, you wouldn't pay him and not pay Chris Jones, at least I don't think. But Brett Veach isn't scared to make a big move, and getting Jeffery Simmons, that's a big move if you ask me. Pick a trade. Who would you rather trade for? Type MS for Montez Sweat, JS for Jeffery Simmons. I think Simmons is the better player, but I think Sweat wouldn't cost you as much in draft capital, and it's not conflicting with Chris Jones, a defensive tackle, right? Sweat can come off the edge. Chris Jones is your 3-tech. But I'd be open to either of these, MS for Sweat or JS for Jeffery Simmons. All right, let's get to a free agency rumor, then we'll wrap it up here. How about re-signing Justin Watson, the wide receiver who quietly emerged as a weapon for Patrick Mahomes? Andy Reid believes that the Chiefs will be able to bring Watson back in free agency. Here's Nate Taylor of The Athletic saying, quote, Andy Reid shared that the Chiefs are optimistic that they will be able to re-sign receiver Justin Watson to another 1-year deal to help the offense and special teams units. Watson, a 4-year veteran, posted more receiving yards with 315 than McCole Hardman did last year with 297. Now, obviously, McCole Hardman missed half the season, but Justin Watson did show he can be a quality depth receiver, a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 type. You've got Kadarius Toney, MVS, and Sky Moore. Those are 3 players who are going to be contributors. Beyond that, you may not have a single receiver that makes this roster. Is Justin Ross going to make this team? Is John Ross going to make this team? I don't know. But a guy like Justin Watson, I think comfortably would make it. So here would be my plan at receiver. Re-sign Justin Watson to be your wide receiver 5. For now, he'd be your 4 until you go get someone else, right? DeAndre Hopkins, OBJ, someone early in the NFL draft. That would be my plan. Get Watson back into the fold. Patrick Mahomes likes him. He's a reliable reserve option for this team that has special teams value. And then you go get your, even if it's not a number 1, more of a frontline type of player, whether it's Hopkins, OBJ, or someone like Quentin Johnston or Zay Flowers in the NFL draft. You do that, you're set. You're good at receiver. You go 5 deep, and maybe guys like Justin Ross compete for that final roster spot if the Chiefs decide to carry 6. So who will be the Chiefs wide receiver 1 in 2023? If the season started today, probably Kadarius Toney, but I would feel better if you had a different option there as wide receiver 1. Curious to see what Chiefs Kingdom predicts on this one. All right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in to today's video. We'll be back with more Chiefs content tomorrow, so don't miss out on any of that. It's youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Subscribe, turn on the notifications. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon here on the Chiefs Report.